Definitely when my daughter and I moved here, it was 13,000 people. It's almost 43 now. And I and my daughter, oh, I see a black person, because we hardly saw anyone that looked like us. And we would be driving down, oh, I see another black person, because it was a miracle to see somebody that looked like us. So I still wanted to move. I did have some problems with police in LA driving black, and they pulled me over. But I still wanted to be here, and I didn't know where else I wanted to go. I didn't want to go back to Louisiana, and plus I wanted my daughter to be close to my parents because I was very close to my grandparents. I remember when I got introduced to the Historical Society, and I didn't understand. And the president at that time said, "Let me explain something to you." I was happy. I had chicken marsala for the first time. I was happy, but I paid attention to him, and I realized history is important. History wasn't important to me when I was in school. I mean, that's old-timey. But the way he explained it to me, it made sense. And knowing, and as I become institutionalized, I know the history on Cabots, and that's important. And I was glad when their board decided to talk about the water. Yes, we need to talk about the water. And there are Audrey Moe, there's people that have written books. And I've learned there are people who were born here. The mayor was born here. Dora was born here. And they've seen a lot of things. It's their history more so than my history. The spas, how did they become? We're getting ready to do a new spa tour. All of this is important, and you need to know how we got here. And Desert Hot Springs is still a welcoming committee, regardless of what has transpired. We had a person who had something, they robbed his house, came in through the garage. He was on a vacation, and he wrote us and said, "Thank you for your police department. They were exemplary." And I thought about it, and because of our police department, you can't say the stuff that you would say in other cities. And it's because our police department connects, and that's history. And I told them, yes, they're exemplary, as you said, and I'm glad you found that out. And it is still, for me, a comfortable place to be. And other people are telling me the same thing. And as things happen in other cities, that's okay. One of the things I try is to think past go. Whenever we make a decision, think past go. I have to think of the people I serve. And if you know our history, and there's nothing wrong with continuing that history, and it should be documented. And that's why Historical Society is very, very important. I grew up from 0 to approximately 30, 38. And then I came to Desert Hot Springs. And what was interesting about Desert Hot Springs, I didn't realize till much, much later, several years later, my grandmother used to come here all the time with her church group. And it was years before I recognized that, and I used to ask her, why can't we go? Because it's only adults. Well, you always take children with you, you make them sit on the side, so why can't we go? You're not supposed to go. It's just me and the church ladies. That's not fair. So I didn't realize until I got here, someone said something about the spas, and then my memory came back to Mother. Well, I moved here with a boyfriend. He lived in Palm Desert. And it was fine for a moment. And then one day, my daughter came out of her bedroom with a baseball bat and said, "Don't talk to my mother like that." So instead of staying there, we went to a hotel. And then we came back, and she didn't understand why I was still with this man. And he was abusive verbally. So we started moving because I was going to stay here in the Coachella Valley. I was not going to go back. I can tell you why. I left LA, and we went all through the Coachella Valley, and at night, 12 o'clock at night, afternoon, just trying to find out what the neighborhood was about. And I worked for him, and the lady told me the best place to go is Desert Hot Springs. The rent is cheap. So I went to Desert Hot Springs. Everything was fine. Nighttime, daytime, Sundays, everything was fine. So I moved to Desert Hot Springs. Earliest memory is, I would say it was based on racism. I worked in Palm Springs, and when I was there was a lot of racism. For instance, there was a store there in the mall, and I'm standing and I'm waiting, and there's one person ahead of me, and everyone else is behind me. And so I say, I'm next. I want the man behind you. That person said, no, she was first. But I want him. And so I had stuff like that. My earliest memory in Desert Hot Springs, that didn't happen. The realtor, I tried my best to talk as white as I could so he wouldn't know who I was on the phone. And he said to me, I'm not going to give you the places that I had thought about, because you don't sound like you belong there. You belong in a better place. And I said, So we met. He didn't know I was black. I knew he was white. And he said, very pleased to meet you. Now I want to take you here and there. And he was a realtor here and treated me very nicely. So my first memory was that I was going to be treated well. My daughter was going to be treated well. And so she was. So he was the first. And how my daughter was treated, because as a single mom, Desert Hot Springs helped me raise my daughter. I walked into something. Let me back up. When we got our first police department, I felt somebody that looked like me should be on the Public Safety Commission. So I applied. City Hall calls me and says, you're going to be interviewing for city council tomorrow. Oh, no, I'm not. I said, so I went in early and said, I didn't apply for that. I applied for public safety. Well, we pulled your, city clerk tells me, well, we pulled your name. You've been coming to the meetings and you do like this when you should, and you do like this when you should. So you ought to apply for it, but that's not what I applied for. You should do it anyway. So I went home and said, Mom, I don't know anything about birthing these babies. And she said, God puts you where He wants you to be. So I realized I had studied Toastmaster for 5 years, and this is why. So I went, there was 10 of us, and I got on the council. And I didn't know what to do. I read, and I always like to follow rules, and that was how I got on the council, which is totally different from anything I've ever done. I got that from Mayor Parks. She elevated us. We were known as Dirty Desert Hot Springs, and we were all drugs and nothing else. And Mayor Parks changed that, and she was out there all the time. She became friends with Miss Houston, who really liked her, and she was always in the society page. And she made sure that we were seen in a bright light. And she loved the Desert Hot Springs Senior Center. So when she moved, I told her, I will take that and I will pay attention to the Senior Center. And so that is what I do. And when we saw her at fancy events and stuff, oh, well, Desert Hot Springs must not be that bad after all. The spa, people started to come because it must be safe to go to the spa. They didn't know we had them. So that was very good. So I go out to show that Desert Hot Springs is okay. It's really okay. And I try to tell people I do not chase after my integrity. My integrity follows me. My father was a journalist, and he worked 3-4 jobs, and we always had to put our homework on his desk, on his counter, and he would read it, and then he would give us our lunch money. But if it was wrong, like maybe I just had a few sentences to put on the back of the page, no, he'd wake us up. Don't do this. I have enough money for you to do this. Don't make mistakes. Daddy, it's just a little mistake. I write for a newspaper. If I don't catch the mistakes, that's 30,000 papers out there. You've got to read, and I learned to read everything. Make my daughter read everything. And when I got my house, the realtor that wanted me to sign everything was very upset with me because I read everything. Well, just let me tell you what this says. I need to make sure. And I read everything. And now on the council, I read everything. And one person asked me, you didn't catch that, Jan? No, I didn't, and you didn't either. They expect me to read. But we're all supposed to be reading. But that's what I got from my father, read everything. 98, I've been on the council for 26 years. We have, from then to now, a lot more street lights. So we didn't, very few lights. I was able to work on the first sport with Cabot's Museum, and we put together the mission statement and got the nonprofit status, and that was good. And I learned a lot about the history. And after being on the council, I made sure that we kept it, and we did what the family wanted, and that was to keep it the way it was, not tear it down. And I went and did gardening, and then there are clubs. I didn't belong to any clubs. Desert Hot Springs Women Club gave my daughter a scholarship, and I joined. I couldn't do everything, but anytime they had an event, I went. My mother even joined, and she was still in LA. When I first got on the council, Regional Access Project came up and talked to me and said, "You need to be on our board." And I said, "I just got here. I don't know what's happening here, and you're asking me to do something. Give me a moment, please." And I've been on RAP for over 10 years. With RAP, I'm giving back to the community. My main thing is because they helped me raise my daughter, I wanted to give back to the community. My daughter and I were going to leave when she turned 18. I told my daughter she wanted to immediately go back to LA, and I said, "No, I worked too hard for you to cross this stage." So she crossed the stage, had her car packed, and said, "I'm going to LA. "You're supposed to have dinner." "I'm going to LA. She went to LA. She's 43 now, and I'm still here. Because I was so busy, Saturdays and Sundays, it would be just her and I. And we watch movies, Lifetime movies, and say who's gonna cry first. And I made food for us, and so that's what we did. And we'd go to the movies or something like that, but we did stuff together, because it wasn't until she became a teenager I was okay with leaving her by herself. But when she left, that's when I started having fun. And Elizabeth Donnelly, I became close friends with her. Initially, she didn't like me. And she was on the council, and she thought that Rupert should have been on the council because he was the last highest person. And she gave me a stack of documents and said, "Read this, and then if you have any questions, call me." And that's all she said. Well, I did read it, and I called her and said, "I've got questions." She spent 2 8-hour days with me. She said, "I didn't think you were going to read that." And from there, we were friends for until she died. And we went on cruises together. We both did not like talking before 10, so we'd get up, wait, and she'd read the paper, and I'd go do what I wanted to do. And we went on a couple of cruises, and we went out to jazz clubs, and I belonged to the Elks. It was another thing, and there was a guy there that she ended up liking, and they married, but I was friends with him too. So I still got to come over to her house, but couldn't talk politics at all, and that was good. And so I partied with them, and then after she passed, I haven't had a best friend since.